I'm Myan with the Burton Realty Group, and today I want to share my experience of buying a home in the current market. My wife and I just bought a home the last couple of months and did the move process, and I want to share some of the things I learned as an agent, what I took away from this experience of buying a home. The first thing I would say in buying a home is that while it can be very exciting and you have dreams about moving into this perfect house, the reality is it's very stressful. It's said that buying a home is the third most stressful thing you can do after the death of a partner or a spouse or the divorce of a partner or a spouse. And I would completely agree with that. It was very stressful for us as we went through that whole buying process, and emotions run high. That being said, here's a couple of takeaways that I had. Number one, sellers and sellers agents don't always communicate very well. So when you submit an offer or when you are talking to an agent or a seller, don't expect them or hold them to the standard that they're going to do everything that they said that they were going to do. That doesn't always happen. Things come up and change on a dime, and what they told you yesterday may not be true today. So be prepared for some communication issues or lack of follow through on the seller or the seller's agent's part. The next thing I would say is that expect some disappointment and frustration. There's probably going to be an opportunity where you have to make an offer on a home that you really, really like, and then for whatever reason that deal falls apart and you're very frustrated in that process. I would say expect that, and that is probably more the norm than the exception to the rule. So just because you fell in love with a house, there's a good chance that 3 or 4 other people also fell in love with that same house, and you may not be the offer that the seller accepts. The third thing that I would encourage you to do, as I learned in this process, is to do as many of the inspection items as you possibly can. And what I mean by this is don't just do the basic inspection. If I were you, I would do as many inspections as you can, which include doing a sewer scope, having a roofer contractor come out, having the radon test done, having a meth test done, check for mold, turn on the sprinkler system and make sure the sprinkler system works or if it needs help or not. And after all that is said and done, there's going to be items that were missed in the inspection because you can't figure all that stuff out until you actually live in the house. So be prepared that there's probably going to be a half a dozen items that you never saw, the inspector never saw, your contractors never saw, and while the seller may know about it, they didn't disclose it because it's not required, and the only way to find out about it is by living in the home. The next thing I would say that to be expecting is that the approval process can be very stressful and frustrating. The underwriters sometimes seem to look for reasons to ask for more paperwork or to challenge what you have submitted already. That can be very repetitive and very frustrating. My advice to you is to get all your financial stuff put together up front as you get started in this process and get as much to them as they need, and let your loan officer figure out how much needs to be sent to the underwriter. If you have all that stuff put together up front, it'll make it a little bit smoother, but you're going to have some challenges getting through financing if you have any type of issues in employment, if you're self-employed, if you've had any kind of credit issues. Those are going to make your journey through financing to be a little rockier and a little tougher. And there'll probably be a couple days where you wonder if it's even worth it. Here's another thing that I learned really quick after moving into the home. You probably need to have $3,000 to $5,000 set aside for things that are going to fall apart or things that need to be fixed or updated. Depending on the age of the home, depending on the size of the home, $3,000 to $5,000 is probably sufficient to cover the majority of those. So after everything else that you've paid for down payment and financing expenses and everything else that goes into getting the loan, you probably need another slush fund of $3,000 to $5,000 to take care of the unexpected things that will come up. It could be a flooring issue, it could be a plumbing issue, it could be a water heater, it could be any of these kind of things that break or happen as a part of home ownership. And the only way you're going to know about whether they have to be fixed is by living in the home. Finally, the last thing that I'm going to tell you about our experience is it is totally worth buying a house. It is so much fun to be able to move into that new place and know that it's yours and that you don't have to go ask anybody for permission to change the paint color of the wall or to change the flooring, to ask somebody to fix something. It is yours. You have the opportunity to do that yourself, and it is so worthwhile. And you can start to create the memories and the experiences that you want for you and your family. So, that being said, going through that home buying process is tough. It's not always easy. you need somebody that's going to help you get through that process and has empathy and understands where those pitfalls are. That'll help you get through that process as quickly, as simply, and as less stressful as possible. If you have questions about the home buying process or the home selling process, I would love to answer those questions specific to your situation and your needs. Feel free to give me a call or a text. I look forward to chatting with you soon.